Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Purple Table Talk with Kim.
And Jen Vaughn.
I always had that delay, man. How's everybody doing today?
It's a
I'm
beautiful
glad
day
that
outside.
it's a what?
It's a beautiful day outside.
It is. It's gorgeous outside. Yesterday, I just sat out on the porch and was chilling. So, so I hope everybody's having a great Saturday. We're excited today because we're going to be
Mhm.
introducing our June's Epilepsy Warrior of the Month. Woo! So, but before we start introducing our Warrior of the Month, let's do our check-in this week. Um, of course, as we go on, please click like and share this live today, and go to our YouTube page, Purple Table Talk with Kim and Javon, and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Come on, let's get them numbers going up. We need some numbers going up. Also, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and I just
YouTube.
said YouTube.
Yeah.
So make sure you like the Hardy Hands Foundation page and the Epitome of Epilepsy page. So I am Kim Hardy. I am the co-founder and CEO of Hardy Hands Foundation, and this is Miss Jim Von Cherry. She
I
is.
am the co-founder of Epitome of Epilepsy, and we have come together to start Purple Table Talk, which is a show that we allow people who have epilepsy like us to share their stories. And we want to get the people talking about epilepsy, seizures, and what our lives are looking like walking with epilepsy. We want to let the conversation be normal. We want people to know that just because you have diagnosis or epilepsy as a diagnosis doesn't necessarily mean it's like, oh my gosh, nothing else is going to be ever done for me. There's life, and we are proof. And our Epilepsy Warrior of the Month is definitely proof of a epitome, I would say, of a person that has epilepsy. Um, I physically don't know her. I've never met her. This is our first time meeting virtually, but just like him, kindred spirits. No one really understands the walk that we have. So it's good to communicate with people who understand your walk and know what you're going through. And we chose Julie because she is, like I said, the epitome of a person that lives with epilepsy but doesn't let it defeat her.
Yes. So, without further ado, we are going to introduce Miss. You introduce her. It's your epilepsy
Are
woman.
going to introduce our epitome of epilepsy warrior of the month, Purple Table Talk, Julee Gould. That sounds like a real.
I know, right?
Yay!
Yay!
Thank you guys. Oh my God, that was awesome. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. So happy and honored to be here, you guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
No
Thank you for
problem. Hi, husband.
blessing us with your presence.
My
Hey,
husband
husband.
Curtis.
Hey, Curtis.
First, we are going to allow you, Julie, to just kind of talk about yourself, tell your story, your hobbies, your career, things that kind of you do at the moment. We want people to know a little bit of your history and a little bit of your story walking with epilepsy. So go ahead, girl.
I get to talk about me?
Yes. Girl, go
Oh, yeah.
ahead. Tell
Okay.
the people
All
about
right.
yourself.
Well, where do I start? Okay. My name is Julee Gould. You guys, thank you again for letting me be here. I am almost 40. I'm not going to give you the real age. I think you guys might have revealed it, but I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was 4 months pregnant with my daughter. I was 24 years old at the time. Um, I live in Northern California. My husband and I live in Northern California, and what we love to do is RC crawl. We do a lot of crawling, and that I'll explain that later. But it's a therapeutic method that we use to help me deal with the challenges of epilepsy. I have been working as an IT specialist, analyst, technical business analyst for a health independent provider association. So I'm in the health industry and I work on internal applications. Um,
Wow.
Rewind back 15, 20 years ago, if you asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up, I would have said a graphic designer. If I was diagnosed with epilepsy back then, I would not be using computers at all. So learning, yeah, learning, learning a lot of my triggers. I work a lot on computers, and so being an IT representative, there's a lot of balancing that I had to learn to make sure that I can perform effectively at work and also be a human being when I'm off of work, right? So I've been working as an IT representative for 15 years. Same company in the health industry for Hill Physicians Medical Group, a really great medical group who really supports epilepsy as well. So anytime we have events or have an awareness event, they are always jumping to the table to sponsor and support us. So shout out to Hill Physicians and all of my coworkers there. um, some of the I lived in the Bay Area when I was diagnosed with epilepsy. I was first diagnosed when I was pregnant. So I was 4 months pregnant when I had my first seizure in the Bank of the West lobby. I collapsed into a seizure. Yep. And I was in the hospital in near Concord campus for about a week. And at the time they were doing some renovations. And I was in the renovation building. They didn't know what was going on. I wasn't diagnosed with epilepsy yet, didn't know I was having seizures. And at the time, they thought I had meningitis. And so I was quarantined in a construction building that they were getting ready to open. Every nurse and all the people coming in had masks and everything. Like, I woke up, I collapsed in the bank, and I woke up in the hospital. No idea what was going on. People coming in masks, checking my vitals. Finally, they found out, or they told me that I had a seizure at the bank. They shot me up for about 1,800 milligrams of Dilantin. Turns out I had an allergic reaction, so they had to hurry up and pump it out of me. Long story short, I was there for about a week. When I finally got out, no answers to why I was having seizures. MRI came out clear, fine. We've all experienced that. And then I was assigned a neurologist. And that path, I swear, was the scariest path of my life. I never heard of the word epilepsy. I didn't know that I was able to have seizures. Was it genetic? What happened? So basically, fast forward 7 years later, we find out that I was having seizures mostly around my menstrual period. And I was having seizures when I was pregnant. So it turns out that I am actually I was diagnosed with catamenial epilepsy, which is linked to or associated with my hormones. And so whenever I have a menstrual period, I have my seizures. We've gotten a lot better with, being balancing, knowing your triggers, getting your rest, staying hydrated. And honestly, it may sound like a broken record, but doing the things that make you happy. Because when I'm happy, I'm not having a seizure. I may have a little activity here and there, but when I'm happy, I am not having a seizure. So, so that was the hardest thing to learn is I felt like I was alone. I felt like I didn't know anybody else that had seizures. I was feeling victim. Why me? Why now? I was in a really abusive relationship at the time. And so learning now, all of those things contributed to my seizures. Stress, no sleep, anxiety, frustration, anger. All of those are linked to different types of our hormones. And so those triggered my seizures. Just for example, the Epilepsy Foundation of Northern California has an event at the Six Flags a couple years ago. I haven't been on a roller coaster since I was diagnosed because, I know excitement causes my seizure. My husband, my savior here, it's like, just do it, babe. Just go. And so we went on the Medusa. Oh my God. I had a friggin' blast. So it was I'm sorry, I'm so excited. It was in the Bay Area and we live in Northern California. So we had to leave, come home. I had a seizure like almost the whole way home in the car because I was so excited from The roller coaster.
Your
So that's
adrenaline.
how my hormones can trigger my seizures. So I could be angry. You know, we all talk about emotional roller coasters. Those are no good for me because I know, you know, a few
Right.
days later, I can trigger a seizure. So
Wow.
learning those things, that's why I think I've become what you said, Javon, the epitome of epilepsy, where I'm like, I'm going to stay happy. I'm going to do
Yeah.
what I want that makes me happy. Because
Mhm.
if stress triggers my seizure, anger triggers my seizures, ain't no business doing all of that, right?
So
Exactly.
like, even though
Right?
we may have this diagnosis, each of us have chosen to walk it. It may be different, but in the way it's still the same. You know,
Yes.
we're still living life. We're
Yes.
happy. You know, no one's sad. No one's gonna put a cross on our back saying, you know,
No.
doom, you're doomed.
No.
No, this
Yeah.
that's not life. That's not life.
Yeah.
I want to ask your husband a question.
But Papa, she wants to ask you a question.
Oh, that's cute. They call each other
So,
Papa.
and
I
it's so
love it.
natural. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Listen, this is a free safe
So
zone.
okay.
Yeah, bless you.
Because I called out Papa like all
Oh,
eyes.
oh,
I wanted to ask
Welcome, Papa.
you. I know, right? What it is, Papa? You okay? How you doing today?
so I'm good.
Good. We wanted to ask you, how did you take her diagnosis? Being that this may have been your first encounter with epilepsy. How did you deal with it? How were you her strength through this time?
After I finally told him, and when I hid it from him.
I mean, I was fine with it. I just have that kind of, well, whatever, we'll deal with it attitude anyway. So that's just what it was for me.
He never left my side. So let me tell you the story of how I told him. So we met, we were dating for a couple of months, and sometimes I would have my seizures each month because it comes with my menstrual period, right?
Right.
So during those times, I wouldn't see him in person. So he would call me one day and said, "Hey, you know, you want to hang out?" I was like, "Oh, you know." And then he finally said, "Okay, I see how it is," and pretty much hung up on me. And it broke my heart. And I was just like, "Okay, I got to tell him." So I literally called him back and wrong. I'm like, this guy's not gonna pick up the phone. He picks up the phone. I said, "Do you know what epilepsy is?" And literally within 20 minutes, he was at my door. And I was
Oh,
laying in bed
It's
recovering from a
white
seizure
knight.
at that time. Yeah, and he has never left my side.
okay. That's what I like to hear.
That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That's what
he is by
Stuff that
extension
we
a
just have
warrior of
to
the month as
incorporate
well.
in our lives and deal with. That's all.
Yeah. And this remote control, this radio control car thing, my husband, he said that he was a different man before he met me, you know, with anger and all that stuff. And I've really helped him become this patient man and with love and all that. And one of his therapeutic ways is, you know, playing with these little remote control cars. There's just like a real car. They have the shocks, motor, engine, everything, transmission. It's just on a smaller scale. And so that
Right.
where he can put his mind, you know, whether it was a stressful day, he could be there for hours. Well, one of the things that they do is we go on different trails and go hiking. And so we take our cars with us. But then we see these amazing and beautiful places. We meet these people that are dealing with different, you know, health challenges, cancer, you know, diabetes, you know, all of these things, lupus. And they're just out there just enjoying every
Wow.
single second and every step that they can take out there. And I can tell you, when I'm having a seizure and I can't take that step out there, like I can sit in my room and cry because I'm like, I want to get out there so bad. And you know how you guys know when you're having a seizure and you're not you're feeling like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You want to
It's
go
a
and can't because
struggle,
you,
man. It's a
yeah.
struggle. Yeah.
I
But
want to
being
do
out
that.
there
I
with them
definitely.
and doing those things, it's amazing. It's so therapeutic and
It
healing.
is. It can be. Kimberly, did you have any questions?
Well, I was going to ask you. I saw in your the questionnaire we sent you that you have dogs.
Yes.
You have 4 dogs. Okay, so I
Yes.
have a dog too. I'm trying to get Javon on the dog track because dogs are so therapeutic. I know for me. And
Oh
I
man.
even wrote a children's book about my relationship with my dog. So
Oh
has
wow.
your dog's been a help for you?
Absolutely. The Conda, our newest addition, she's 5 months old. She's been the most comforting little fur baby with me. Gambia, my one of my younger ones, she's 4 years old. She's a border collie, but when I'm having activity, it's like she senses it. She knows
Right.
something's going on. If she
Yeah.
hasn't seen me for a few days, she'll whine and cry. So they're definitely healing for us, and especially when
Started with our Chihuahua.
yeah, when we're going through our seizure recovery, not a lot of people understand. So the comfort that you may need from people, they may not know how to give it. Whereas a
Right.
dog, just that's all they know how to do is love you. And so
Love you, protect you.
they're very comforting. That's I gotta
Yeah.
read your book. That's super cool.
Yeah. This the adventures of Wally and Kimmy, Wally to the rescue.
The
Um,
Adventures of Wally and Kimmy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
well, I
That's
know
it.
when I had mine, I couldn't even go to the bathroom without Wally being right there. Like he was literally hitting the back of my cab as I was walking to the bathroom, and he would go and he would sit in the door. If I had the door closed, he would push it open with his nose, look in, and just sit outside until I came out.
Cool.
One
So
of the things I'm glad you mentioned the bathroom is because one of the things for a long time, and I'm still because I have a lot of seizures in my sleep, but
mhm,
also my seizures I don't really get the auras anymore. So some of my activity would come randomly,
yeah,
and so for a long time I wouldn't be able to shower alone, be in the
yeah,
bathroom alone, and that's still hard to deal with being a grown woman, and wanting your privacy and stuff like that. But having our fur babies there, it's been
yeah,
helpful. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
able to take my bubble bath with just Conda in the bathroom and stuff like that. So I'm glad you
I
brought that up.
personally do not have a dog, and
Me,
listening to you guys, have a dog, like the seizure I had on Monday morning, I was in my sleep, of course, but I didn't feel any type of way. I was tired, and my job could be a little stressful. But I'm also heard. I keep telling Kimberly I need to get a dog because that would be beneficial. But sometimes when I get sick, I don't want anybody around. I just want to sleep, recover. It may take me about 3, 4, 5 days, but just let me recover. But I'm stubborn. I went to work and I know I shouldn't have gone to work, but I did. I had to
We
just
did.
chalk that one up. But, I look at it as, and this is probably too much to be just being in my own skin, like we were talking about earlier. I didn't I felt so down. I had a seizure in like 4 months and I was like, I'm doing so good. And boom, I call them bossy because they come whenever they want to and
Yes.
she just runs everything.
Yep. And I think that's why we give our 110% because when we are 50%, we need someone to understand, hey, we'll get back to our 110. Just give us a moment.
I
Um,
gotta be 110.
but one of the things also I've learned, I didn't mention, I am the executive director of the Epilepsy Foundation of Northern California here, the Reading Resource Office. Woohoo! We've
Yes.
had that branch for about 4 years now. And what we do is provide resource assistance support to anybody who's willing to open up and say, hey, I have seizures, I need help. Because you know how really hard it is for people to come out and say that and accept that. But one of the things that I've learned, we used to always have, not used to always, we previously only had adult programs. And then that's only because of the understanding of what I knew and what I knew to teach because of what I experienced, right? But living in Northern California, I met this young lady at the time. She was only 14. Her name's Kaya. There's a campaign Purple for Kaya. And she taught me a lot about the youth world and growing up with seizures and epilepsy, having seizures at school and all the bias and the stigma and the cruelty that can happen, during school. And so we created this program called Recognition of a Hero program. And it's to thanks of Kaya and her mom. Her mom was going out privately for her personal passion, giving seizure first aid training to people in her church, to whatever form that she was able to. And so when
Wow.
Kaya finally decided, man, when Kaya decided to finally try public school, she started high school. She had her one of her triggers is audio. So mine is photo lights, right? I can
Yeah.
get triggered by flashing. Kaya can get triggered by audio. So that's why she walks around with headphones and stuff, right?
Loud
But
noises
can you
bother her.
imagine the noise in a classroom? So
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
So she
Pep
was in the
rally.
science room
Pep
and she
rally.
had a seizure. And
huh.
one of the kids that was in one of her mom's church session remembered the seizure first aid training, took off their sweater, folded up, and went to put it under Kaya's head so that her head wasn't banging against the science lab floor. You know how hard that floor is. So
Yes. Wow.
we all was like, we have to do something for this kid, and we came up with the recognition of a hero program. And what it is, it gives a certificate and a purple medal of honor, purple ribbon, and it it says epilepsy hero, and it basically recognized that they probably saved somebody's life that day or saved them
Yeah.
from injuring themselves even more. And what we didn't know that would happen was how accepting and rewarding they felt when they accepted it. And then it also triggered them wanting to get into EMT career or, like fireman career so they can help people with seizures. So the other thing, what brought up Kaya is Kaya was one of the ones that I learned that depended on the seizure dog. So her first seizure dog was killed by a car. He got hit by a car, and so she needed another dog. She was rarely new. I'm sorry, you guys waiting on me. You guys were rare. She was rarely new on the seizures, and so she needed a seizure dog. And so the training cost so much money. So they were
Right.
able to raise money from the community, from the church, all from epilepsy awareness. Kaya and her family is amazing. And was able to fund money to train that dog. And now she has a new seizure dog. But she's able
Wow.
to do things on her own as a youth growing up, wanting to be independent from her mom. And I know her mom's just like, stay with me.
So that's funny because I know for Kimberly and I, we both struggled with seizures being young. And me personally, I think the worst seizure, I should say the worst, but one of the most embarrassing times when I had a seizure in college, in the classroom, and everybody was just really kind of looking at me like I was crazy. I should say too, because I had a seizure time in Walmart. Literally, people were walking over me.
Oh my God.
So, but it's hard sometimes. I think now it's not hard. Being younger, I would give my younger self advice to be strong. But I think when you are young, having epilepsy, and especially in the 80s and the 90s when people just really didn't know what to do, they were just using medicine just because.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's when I was first diagnosed and I learned of the Epilepsy Foundation in Northern California, I begged my husband to take me to the first event at Six Flags that I knew about. And when we went, I think my daughter at the time was like 6 years old, and there was a little girl with epilepsy. She was like, I didn't know little girls can have epilepsy. And I'm like, baby, the epilepsy does not discriminate. And it was going to
No.
that event. It was going to that event that I met Princes of Epilepsy, um, Noelle. Man, talk about us being epitome of epilepsy. She had the biggest smile on her face. Like it did not bother her walking around her in her purple tutu. It was so beautiful. It was like all these people here celebrating a really challenging diagnosis, coming together and celebrating and making these kids and us adults, me, feel okay and comfortable and normal to have this diagnosis. And I swear I was dedicated to the foundation since that day. And I'm so glad
Wow.
they put me on board, and I'm here to make everybody feel like a lot of people like, oh, the foundation doesn't help me. They took all the money. They say that about any foundations. And if you really get into the core and realize how much work and effort and commitment and dedication it takes to succeed in this mission and continue it, man, you'll be saying we're not doing enough. We're not
Yeah,
helping enough.
right.
You know,
What,
I,
what
I,
was,
I tell Jim Vaughn this all the time. I said, part of the problem with bullying in the schools is kids just don't know or don't
Right?
understand.
Right.
I went and I've talked to at least 4 or 5 schools in my county alone. And one school in particular, the kids was like, yeah, we know such and such in 3rd grade, he has seizures all the time. And we just be there for him. And we do this and we go get the teacher. And it's like, if you just tell them, if you
Yep.
just tell them what to do,
Yep.
you will eliminate some of the bullying that's going on in the
Yep.
school.
Our
Just
daughter,
include them in it.
yeah, our daughter in junior high, she did a presentation on Purple Day in her classroom. Her history teacher allowed her to do a presentation in her classroom. And she gave a presentation about what epilepsy is and how many people it affects and how many famous people actually have it. And, you know, what you can do if you see somebody have a seizure. And seizures aren't always, you know, falling to the ground and convulsing.
Right.
And oh my God, that class, so at the end of the presentation, almost every single person raised their hand. And like half of the students knew somebody who had seizures. Half of the students asked, hey, can you do a class like this so my parents can come? It's like you said, Kim, as long as you tell them, it's all about education and exposure.
Yeah.
So if you're able to give them this exposure to this education and knowledge, if they don't take it then, they'll remember it later and they'll pass it on. Like it's a beautiful thing.
Knowledge is power.
Man, 100%.
You said there was something that you said that about donating. You know how you donate to the just people not realizing donating to organizations like yours and Hearty Hands and Epitome of Epilepsy. Those donations go a long way to educating people on what they need to do. So you said we were talking and you were saying people are like oh, here she comes, we're talking about epilepsy, but it's important. It's
right,
important.
it is, because
I have a family full of people
the
with
minute we
epilepsy
stop
and didn't know
talking
about
about
it.
it, right, the minute we stop talking about it, that support is going to stop. Those donations are going to stop. And what's going to happen? Our programs are going to stop. So if you think about it, some of the schools today don't even have art programs. Why? Because people don't talk about art. People don't, people don't progress or raise awareness on the need for art and the benefits of art. So I agree with you. I'm so happy that you guys created this forum for people to come and talk, and also giving the opportunity to select Warriors of the Month. Because one, having a diagnosis is tough, but having somebody celebrate that you have this diagnosis and that you're beating it and that you're overcoming this challenge is a beautiful thing. And people love recognition and appreciation, and not feeling alone. So you guys having this opportunity for myself and other people to come up and talk and tell them their story, man, I think you guys are doing something so amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. What do you think you would tell someone living with epilepsy? Like, what advice would you give to someone? What advice would you give your younger self in your 20s when you first heard about your diagnosis, and now that we're all knocking on the door of 40, what would you tell yourself?
Don't be afraid. I was afraid. I let fear made my decisions. I was afraid to tell my husband, who at the time was my boyfriend. I was afraid to tell my work. I was afraid to tell my friends, that they wouldn't accept me. And it took probably 6 years after being diagnosed to really be open and be okay and talking about it. And to see now how many people that I have in my life here supporting me, loving me, accepting me, the community accepting, that has only helped me find more opportunities to get better. Better treatment plan. I feel like I have the best epileptologist. I didn't even know there's a neurologist that specializes in epilepsy, right? So like not being afraid to admit that you have these challenges, these conditions, these flaws, whatever you call them, accepting that and voicing it and waiting for someone to, take hold of it and say, hey, I got something that can help you. And, and not be afraid to take that chance. That sometimes that chance may not be the answer, but at least you took that chance and you can close that door and open up another door. You know what I mean? So fear. I think regardless of your diagnosis, whether it be the younger me, the older me now, the older future me, my child, don't let fear make your decisions.
I like
Yeah,
that.
I like that too.
I think
Yeah.
if you guys would give me the opportunity, is for my husband to give advice as a caretaker, because I'm
Sure.
reaching out to a lot of people in our community that has a hard time speaking with me because I live with epilepsy and they're the caretaker, so they don't feel like I really understand where they're coming from. So I think coming from a caretaker, as someone as difficult as me, would be beneficial advice.
I was actually going to ask him something about that.
Yeah.
So, Raymond, so as a person who takes care of, you help take care of your wife and everything as she's going through this. We talked about when you two first started dating, and she had a hard time telling you this, and that's what I was going to tell you too, Julie. Just think of what if you had to let fear take over, you might not have married him.
Man,
So as
I
somebody
would have
who
lost this
takes
beautiful
care of her,
man.
how do you handle the people that kind of shun her and some of the stuff that because it's not easy. It's not easy for my friends who go through it with me. So as somebody who's a spouse, how do you deal with that or handle that or talk her through it essentially?
He's so patient.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't. For one, I don't see myself as taking care of her. It's just accompanying her. So I'm just there with her. But well, I don't. It's everybody's upbringing is different, and the way
Yeah.
I was raised and the type of personality that I have is just kind of. I have a more accepting personality, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't too much care about what people outside of my small circle think. I've
Mm-hmm.
always had that about me, so it honestly is really easy for me. You know what I mean? It's so,
Yeah.
and it's not like that for everybody. That's why I sometimes say that I might not be the best person to ask advice from because it's just different for everybody. It's so different for everybody, and
How is it for you when I'm having the seizures? So how do you get through? Because I wouldn't be. I tell him all the
Yeah.
time I wouldn't be able to handle seeing him have a seizure or seeing my daughter have a seizure. I
You
rarely.
think you wouldn't, but you might. You would surprise
well,
yourself when you're
so
actually in the situation.
That's very true.
so I feel helpless, but I'm just there with you. I'm just there with that's all I can do. And I mean, I just pay attention, and if it needs to get serious and we have to call an ambulance, that's a decision that I'm making. So
I think that's important. I think anybody who experience or see somebody having a seizure know that there's nothing you can do to stop that seizure. But
Yeah.
being there is important for us because your presence there is making sure that we're okay. And if it's taking longer than it should, then you know to call 911. You know
Yeah.
to call for help. And that's huge. Some people, like you said, just walk over us or walk away because they don't know what to do. And that's the last thing that we need.
Wow.
That's true.
Wow.
And we pray every single day. We
I was
pray
just
every,
about to
yeah.
ask about your faith. Like,
We
how
have a
has your
little
faith
area.
gotten you through?
He's so accepting. So I was brought up as a Buddhist, but I mean, my family has always been open to all religion. I went to church. I learned what Christmas was through church. Them picking us up as in the neighborhood in a bus as a kid. And so meeting my husband, we ended up having both weddings. We had a traditional wedding. We also had a Thai traditional wedding. Um,
Ooh.
but being diagnosed.
okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she hasn't eaten, and this is like got her nerves going, so it's a bit much,
I'm sorry.
and she's trying to
You
push
Okay.
okay?
through.
I think I just
So
lost.
we're gonna let you go, Julie.
Yeah.
Huh?
We're gonna let you go.
Oh, why? Okay.
No, we are going to let you go.
It's
But
because, am I checking out? Did I just check out?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, you did.
But we do want to thank you for coming on, talking about your story. You and your husband are beautiful. And I think that him being your strength allows you to shine. But to us, you're our shine because we just want to make sure that we spread light, spread love to you. Get some rest, okay?
Go
thank
eat
you so
something,
much,
ma'am.
you guys. I hope it was helpful and beneficial. Everything that we talked about. I got really excited, and so that's probably why I'm checking out.
Listen,
It's okay.
we'll invite you back and we'll have a little girl talk and everything. But
Please
go eat.
do.
Please go eat.
Okay.
Thank you.
It was the
Thank you
nerves. I
guys.
couldn't eat. Bye. Thank you.
Bye,
All right,
Julie.
thank you.
Bye, Julie.
Bye.
Oh,
All right. That was
yeah.
lovely. That was lovely. That was
That
really
was our
nice.
Epilepsy Warrior of the Month, Miss Julee Gould. Did I pronounce that right? Gold?
Yeah, it is. That's right.
Okay. Julee Gould.
I'll probably send
And
her a text later just to make sure
yes.
she's okay. But
Yes.
see, that's in the
This is
moment.
what we live with, y'all. It can
Yeah,
happen
this
at
is
any
what you
time.
deal with. It can happen anytime, anywhere, just that split second, you know. It's crazy. It really is. But I enjoyed her. She's beautiful, a beautiful soul.
Yes, she is. Thank you. Thank you all for
Thank
the
you,
comments.
Janet. Thank
um,
you.
so Javon, we still got a few minutes, so
So, we can, what you want to do
there were
here?
there were some key points that Julie talked about that I love following up on. Like, you know how I am. I want to make sure we get the word out to the kids. Definitely, most definitely.
I
Um,
love you. Sorry.
huh? You said what?
No.
Oh, you was talking about the comment? No,
So I
but
know when she brought up the dogs and the first aid, I know that because that's all you all day. That is
yeah,
important
yeah.
to you to make sure you spread awareness through first aid, how important it is to have a dog. I saw your face. I was like, yeah, this is Kim.
Um, thank you, and that's the whole point is for you guys to learn. I like going around. I like to speak, period, and I always knew that I was not meant to be in anybody's classroom as nobody's teacher. So this is a way for me to reach out to the kids and still be able to, teach them something without
Hmm.
physically being in a classroom 24/7.
I get
But
that.
it's important. I don't want to be anywhere where there's nobody in the room that doesn't know how to assist me. And
Hmm.
my nieces love YouTube, so I had an idea just to go up and look up little short videos to post on Hardy Hands page, and I found that one video where a guy was in a supermarket, was in a Walmart or in the grocery stores or mall or something. It was a mall right outside of a food court. Had a seizure. Nobody knew what to do. They were standing around. People had their cell phones. It was calling 911. Well, one guy gets a bright idea to steal his wallet and run.
Yeah, I think I saw that. But
I mean, like, come on, man.
we have to continue to do this just because so people can be educated. But Julie, speaking about her triggers, I don't think people understand when you go through certain things in life, one that stays with you, but when she spoke about the domestic abuse that she experienced in her relationship previously to her husband, I've definitely been in an abusive relationship and experienced more seizures than I probably should have just because of the stress. And I think sometimes, like now, I know my triggers, but sometimes my biggest trigger is probably stress. Kim tells me all the time I need to not stress about work because I will
Well,
have a
let's
seizure,
not
which
call
I
that
do.
because I'm the same way. So
But she does the same thing.
yeah.
So, but it's like, how do you not stress? I think living with epilepsy, yeah, you get to learn your triggers. But I mean, sometimes what the doctor tells you, our triggers and stuff, sometimes that stuff just be
Yeah, because listen, everybody's triggers aren't the same.
Yeah,
So
they're not.
for me, I'm starting to be sensitive to the outside, and I love being outside. I'm starting to. I know I have a light sensitivity and sound. Some sounds they irritate me, and
Hmm.
it's I'm sound sensitive sometimes. Not all the time, because I can be loud too. My mom just fussed at me and my niece, but they're the times where you are already not feeling good, and just the least little sound just can irk your nerves. So, I mean, those little things like that, we have to start paying. We pay attention to that, and I had somebody tell me, and you were talking about abusive relationships. Okay, so abusive relationships could also be friends
Yeah,
that
yeah.
just aren't they're those so-called friends that
Hmm.
just
Snakes in the
really
grass.
could care less. Yeah, could care
Hmm.
less. They'll, oh yeah, you have seizures, okay, but then when you have one, you can't find them, or they just
Hmm.
real, or they may be there, but they still, them shady boot friends, so-called friends. Those are abusive relationships too, and
Hmm.
those can cause us stress and seizures as well. So I mean, listen, I feel like our society today isn't as humane or caring as we should, was, or need to be. And
Mm.
I just feel like we need to get back to where we
To that.
actually cared about our neighbors and our family and our friends and stuff like that.
Not
So,
record someone having a seizure or take their
right.
wallet. I think
Not
when I was
well now, if you record it, you're recording it for health purposes, not to post on the Facebook.
that's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
my fear, especially, I was glad that cell phones and stuff were not out when I was younger, because I can only imagine I would have went viral a lot of times having seizures in the classroom, at cheerleading practice, in school, in church. I'm just glad that that just did not happen to me. But I do see pictures of videos of people that have taken in their vulnerable moment. And that I feel bad about that, because I mean, I've definitely, no one has recorded me per se, but I've definitely woken up on the ground and people are walking by. But everyone doesn't have the same, just like Kim was talking about friends. Even if you're with someone and you tell them you're not feeling well, I would hope that that person has my best interest to say, well, let's get you home.
And I had people tell me, "Oh, you can't hang with us because you don't party like we party and stuff like that." I'm like, "Because you can't do X, Y, Z." I was like, somebody like me who's already,
Mhm.
I'm sensitive sometimes, so that would I would act like I ain't phased by it and crack a joke and stuff like that. But people think because I'm happy go lucky Kim that, I don't know. I guess I don't get my feelings hurt or something like that. I'm always happy. I'm not always happy.
But I do think, as far as Julie, we all have our strengths. We all walk this life a little differently. And with Julie, I think it's good that she has a partner and a husband that is so understanding and considerate. Like, you can tell he has her best interest, just like when
Yep.
she had her seizure right there. I think that's a beautiful thing. I
And
really
he
do.
knew
I
what to
think,
do.
and
He
he knew,
knew what to
right,
do.
and he knew
So
exactly
so
right.
let's talk about that right now. Okay, so you see a person that having a seizure, just like Julie did. What he did was he put his hand on her arm and he caressed her. He let her know, just let her know his love was there, and
Also,
that
don't look
when
like
she
what
came
you
out
see on
of it, it was
TV.
just like, oh hey, what happened?
Right. But, and also, Kim, all seizures don't look like what we see on Grey's
Nope.
Anatomy and Chicago, the whatever. I'm just making up something. All seizures don't involve like you're having
Convulsions.
floor.
Convulsions.
It just doesn't. Like, I can experience absent seizures where I can be talking and I just blank out, just like you saw
Like
Julie.
Julie
I
did.
experienced the
Yep.
same thing. And
Yep.
it happened to me on numerous occasions. Or I have also in vomit and then I have a seizure. So everybody, walk is different, but I like the way he was just there in the
Yeah.
moment. He didn't miss a beat. Things like that are important. And I think that's why we talk about seizure safety, seizure 101, seizure first aid, because just because someone my thing has always been everyone's seizure is different, but everyone does not have a seizure that means they're going to fall out on the floor.
Right. Exactly.
People fidget with their hands,
Yeah.
blinking. That's those little seizures. You may get a little jerk. I do that all the time. Those are just little seizures, but
I know I repeat things that I do. Sometimes I'll be doing something, I'll be fiddling with something, but I'll keep doing it over and over again. Like example, spinning around in the chair. You know how you just twisting around in your chair like that? Well, I had one time and I just kept doing it. I kept doing it. I felt like I couldn't stop. So,
Oh, wow.
Stuff like that. I will say for myself, I haven't had the seizures where I had it in public. It's always been my prayer not to have one like that. And I thank God thus far, I have not had one in public because I feel like it's embarrassing for me to have it right here at the house. Some of my worst ones, the ones I had when I was a kid, they were pretty bad, but you're an adult and you lose control of your bodily functions when you have a seizure and you wake up and you wet yourself. That's it. You can't control it. And I can hear people on here watching now like, well, you can't control that, baby. But I understand. But when you're doing it and you're coming out of it,
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. And even if you're alone, it's still embarrassing.
Right. It's embarrassing. And even though, we may not like to say it's embarrassing, it's just part of us, but it makes us feel very vulnerable at that moment.
Yeah.
It
and
makes
that's
us
something
feel
I don't want anybody to see.
Right, exactly. And I always say I hate for people to see me that way. That's probably why I told my mom and just let me, because and that's my mother. I know my mom loves me. I just know that. But sometimes, even this past weekend, I was like, I'm good. Let me just go to sleep. I'm gonna go to sleep when I get off after work. I'm gonna just sleep it off, which I did. But it's even though we talk about us being vulnerable in that moment, I also think about even with Julie and her husband, how he feels watching her and he helpless.
Yeah.
I'm sure my mom feels helpless every time I tell her I have a seizure and there's nothing she can do about it but make sure that I'm okay. I'm sure she
Right.
wishes she could take it, away from me, but then I wouldn't be who I am today.
Exactly. Exactly.
But Julie was great. And we also want to plug in that we have things coming up. Thank everyone that participated in our Father's Day raffle.
Yes. Our winner
And
was Sylvia.
Sylvia Gilliard.
Yes.
So we have a few things coming up, though. You want to tell them, Kimberly?
Well, we have in November a talent showcase coming up November 5th.
Sick.
Information to be determined and will be shared hopefully in the coming weeks.
In the coming weeks, we will be able to share a little more. And then the kids are out of school for the summer, but school will roll back around again, and we're going to do a back to school raffle.
Yes.
And we'll let you guys, we're excited about that, honestly. But we're going to let you guys know more about that probably June-ish, July, I should say. But yeah.
I will say we are accepting donations for that. If you feel like you have something and you feel God put it on your heart, you would like to donate some back to school stuff for the raffle, it'd be awesome if we could raffle off more stuff to more than one person, so that the kids can have the materials that they need. We're probably going to do it more than just at the beginning of the school year, throughout the school, because pencils and papers ain't gonna last all year, y'all. So
do we still you? I don't know. Anyways, go ahead. Nothing. Nothing.
But we're gonna do the back to school raffle. We also have a little secret announcement that's going to take place during this event coming up March for Purple Day next year, March 26, 2022. We will be having our our first big event, which is the Painting South Carolina Purple fashion show.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
She can't wait because she bougie. She like fashion like that. So that's why she can't wait.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Any excuse to dress up, y'all. Any excuse to dress up. If you
But
would
we
like to be a vendor at that event, just
let us know.
inbox us on Facebook, or you can email us. There go our email address. You can email us that you are interested in being a vendor, and we will gladly get you that information. If you want to be a sponsor for the upcoming events, we do have one event that's coming up that we're not going to, it's on a hush hush right now. But if you would like to be a sponsor for any of these three, one is supplies events, you just let us know, and we'll send you the sponsorship packet out and all the details and all the great things. We will be putting up later how you can purchase a ticket for any of these events, and we'll get you those details as well in the upcoming weeks. So be on the lookout on either the Hardy Hands Foundation page or the Epitome of Epilepsy page. Or if you're not a Facebooker, check us out on Instagram. Hardy Hands Foundation on Instagram. Yes.
We want to thank everyone for watching. We especially want to thank Julee Gould and her husband for participating and allowing us to share her platform for people who may be voiceless, just to have a little strength to keep going for one more day.
Yes. One more thing I want to say too. HardyHands.com, our website, it is temporarily down. It is under construction right now. We will have it up, and as soon as we have it back up, we will let you guys know. So just be patient with us. If you need like I said, any information, anything you need from us, or you just want to read up on something or more about our foundations, just go to Hardy Hands Foundation on Instagram and Facebook, Epitome of Epilepsy on Facebook, and we will gladly be there to support you. Most of the posts are for both are on both pages. But we still need them numbers. So go ahead and follow us on
Follow
all
us
platforms.
on
Subscribe
all
on
platforms. Subscribe to YouTube.
Yes, let's
Like,
get the
comment,
numbers up, y'all.
subscribe.
Tell your friends,
We
your
want
mama
to get our
them.
numbers.
Tell your mama them. Tell them, come on, subscribe. Let's get the
Stop it.
education on. Come on now. I'm sorry, y'all. I can only be serious for 1.25 seconds, and it's already been longer than that. I think I've done good today.
You want to close out?
No, I open. You close.
Dang it. Well, thank you everyone for coming and listening to Julee Gould, listening to us share our stories a couple of times a month to talk about epilepsy. So this is Purple Table Talk. Please follow us on all our platforms, Epitome of Epilepsy, Purple Table Talk on YouTube, Hardy Hands. We want to make sure that we are getting comments. If you have anything else that you would like to send to us, please comment on the page and we'll be sure to answer your questions. If you have questions for the show, send us a message. We are definitely taking anything and everything that people are saying. Our next show will be at the end of the month, and we'll be putting flyers out soon. Did I leave anything out?
Click like, subscribe, and follow.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Have a beautiful week and blessed week.
Bye.